Our life is not so much what happens to us as much as it is about what's happening in us. And our work life is no different. And as we continue our series on work, we need to spend some time talking about how to advance our careers. And you might be retired and you might be thinking, well, okay, so this sermon doesn't really have to do with me. That's not true, because really we're talking about life advancement. We're just going to apply it in the area of our careers and our work life. But the things that I'm going to share with you are ways, behaviors that can help us advance our life forward. And this message is very practical. So yes, there's going to be 4 big behaviors, but underneath those we're going to share some smaller practical ways to demonstrate that we love God in our work life as well as in our life in general. Now, most of us are open to advancing our careers. I mean, we enjoy thinking about how we're going to spend our next pay increase before the pay increase even arrives. And most of us, we love to hear those words, "You've been promoted." Now, most of us are not in the position as former President Calvin Coolidge. He was president in the 20s. After President Coolidge issued his famous "I do not choose to run" statement, he was besieged by reporters seeking a more detailed answer. And one of those reporters asked him, exactly why don't you want to be president again? And Coolidge looked him squarely in the eyes and said, because there's no chance for advancement. Well, most of us have chances for advancement in our careers. And this advancement will likely come not by accident, not by haphazard chance, but through a series of events. So how can we help ourselves in the area of career or life advancement? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today, and we're going to share 4 big behaviors that will actually help us to move our lives forward. The first one is this: we have to develop and maintain a positive attitude. We have to develop and maintain a positive attitude. John Maxwell stated, he said, attitude determines altitude. And that is true. The most significant decision that we make on a daily basis, in and out, every single day, is the choice of what our attitude is going to be like. And yes, our attitude is a choice that we make. And this choice is more important than what has happened to us in the past. It is more important than what type of training that we have received, because some of us, we may go to our job and they were supposed to train us, but we didn't get trained. It's more vitally important, the choice of our attitude is more important than a checkbook balance and the conglomeration of our successes and failures. It's more important what people are saying about you and the statements that they're making about who we are. The fact is, our attitude determines whether we advance or we retreat in our progress. And so it is crucial that we make and develop a positive attitude. It's been said, and I didn't say it, I don't know who said it, but it's a good statement. It's been said, when our attitude is right, there's no barrier too high, no valley too deep, no dream so far removed, and no challenge too great for us to conquer. Man, if we woke up every day and this was written along with our verses, but this statement was written on our 3x5 card or a sticky note or on the bathroom mirror, we write it on one of those removable pens, not a Sharpie, and we put it someplace prominent in our life, and we were to read that, there's no challenge too great for us to conquer. The truth is, our attitude is a primary force that determines whether we succeed or whether we fail. Now, for some people, attitude presents a difficulty in every opportunity, but for other people, attitude presents an opportunity within every difficulty. If you want to stand out in work, if you want to grab your boss's attention, if you want to get in line for a promotion, if you want to be noticed by the corporate structure, be positive. And Jesus is the perfect example of that in our lives. I mean, his high standards that he has, his perfect standards really, they're not even high, they're perfect, are not given to frustrate us, but to reveal areas in our life where we need work, where we need improvement. And Paul wrote about this in the book of Philippians. He said this: "Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit, but in humility consider others better than yourselves. each of you should look not only to your own interests, but also to the interests of others. Your attitude should be the same as that of Christ Jesus, who, being in very nature God, did not consider equality with God something to be grasped, but made himself nothing, taking the very nature of a servant, being made in human likeness. And being found in appearance as a man, he humbled himself and became obedient to death, even death on a cross. Now, Jesus provides us with a lot of healthy attitudes. We can see them in there. I mean, we've got selflessness and security and sacrifice and surrender and submissiveness, just to name some S's. But through his attitude, Jesus demonstrated a daily positive strength. When do you recall Jesus ever complaining about anything? You know, the meal was too cold. You know, McDavid's wasn't serving the hamburger. You know, I'm glad you got that, Paul. You just, everyone else have to rewind that later and think about that. I've used that before. You should have that down. He didn't complain about anything. He just never did. Here's what the Hebrews author wrote. Let us fix our eyes on Jesus, the author and perfecter of our faith, who for the joy set before him endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. Consider him who endured such opposition from sinful men, so that you will not grow weary and lose heart. So our big behavior is we're going to develop and maintain a positive attitude, but let me share some smaller attitudes that we can develop that would be helpful. First, expect the best. This is the attitude of expectancy. Our internal attitudes have a tendency to affect external results. So when we expect nothing, guess what happens? Nothing. So why have you stopped dreaming? Why have you stopped setting goals? It doesn't matter whether you're 20 or whether you're 70 or 80, you should be having goals. You should still be dreaming. And it may be time to start expecting more from yourself, from your work environment. We usually get what we expect. I don't know whether you've noticed that, but that's true. We usually get what we expect. So have an attitude of expectancy. The second attitude is to view problems as opportunities. This is the attitude of optimism. A healthy, positive attitude can turn adversity into advantage and bad times into blessings. And within every adversity actually stands an opportunity. Sometimes we don't see it right away. Sometimes we have to look very, very closely. Are you allowing adversity to grind you down or to polish you? Been working on this sermon all week. That question has been a haunting question to me. And every time I ran through the sermon, I had to personalize it. I have been allowing adversity to grind me down. And those of you that are closest to me, you've probably seen it over the course of a year, 2 years, 3 years, just grind. This week was a week I finally made the decision, you know what? I'm done with the grinding down part. It's time to allow adversity to become an opportunity to polish me, to improve my character, to make me stop trying to control everything that I can't control anyway, and to trust God. Maybe you can identify with that. I don't know. We need to resist the temptation to count our problems. Many of our lives, we've got lots of problems going on, and so it's very easy to count them because they're everywhere. But we have to turn our attention to the blessings and count the blessings. And seeing life as an opportunity actually keeps us on the solution side of things and keeps us moving forward. The third attitude is this. If we haven't learned it already, we have to learn to say, this too shall pass. This is the attitude of realism. The fact of the matter is, few things in life last forever. I mean, there are a couple of things that last forever, but few things do. Weather can change within a 24-hour period multiple times, and your circumstances can change without warning. Praise God, He doesn't change. Amen? I mean, I'm so thankful that God doesn't change. I mean, you never know what side of the bed God is going to wake up on. Can you imagine what that would be like? But God doesn't change. And what that means for us is that no matter what is going on in our lives, whether we're at a mountaintop peak, or whether we're in the valley or any of the journey in between, God can see us through. He can help us with that. And so we have to stay focused on the temporariness of our trials. Why? Because those too shall pass. Fourth, we need to surround ourselves with positive people. This is the attitude of association. We become like those we spend time with. It's one of the reasons why we should be spending time with God every day, because we want to become more and more like Him. Evaluate your associates. Think about and consider your friendships. Who do you spend most of your time with? If you're struggling to stay positive, if you're struggling to have honesty and integrity in your life, you may need to make some adjustments to the people that you're hanging out with. Spend more time with positive people. Spend more time with people who are honest and have integrity, and watch your attitude begin to change almost immediately. The fifth smaller attitude is this: you got to focus on progress. This is the attitude of development. We've got to commit ourselves to learn something new every day or every week. This week I learned some things new. Last week I told you about the Sega plant. Well, first of all, I'm mispronouncing it because it's not a Sega plant. Even though I grew up in Florida with Segas all over, it's not a Sega plant. It is a Sago plant, okay? So I learned that I've been mispronouncing it for 50 some odd years, okay? And one of the reasons why I know that when I got stuck, and I told you about mowing the yard and it stuck me in the neck, there are no Sago plants in my yard anymore. The last 3 went bye-bye this week. Okay, they're out on the burn pile, actually. That Ray burned stuff here to church. They're out there. The fact of the matter is, they are highly dangerous to human beings. Okay, highly dangerous. So if you need a chainsaw to take out your Sagos, you just let me know. You can borrow mine. Okay, and I also learned this week that at age 55, God still expects me to surrender stuff. I don't like that word. I'll just be honest with you, man. I'm a fighter. I'm a brawler. I mean, not like at the bar or anything like that. Don't misread what I just said. But I don't like surrendering. I was taught you get in there and you mix it up and you bring your best and you give it your all and you don't retreat and you move forward, and I don't like surrender. So for the last year, I have not surrendered in a particular area, and I have been fighting it every step of the way. And I mean, it has affected my attitude. I have been a poor example for a positive attitude. I've had a negative attitude. I have struggled. I've just not been an optimistic person. And Susie, who's here this week, can verify the fact that I have really struggled. Is that not true? I have really struggled. And so, this last week, maybe it was Monday, maybe it was Sunday afternoon, I don't know. I just blew. I just shared it all. Everything. All the things I was struggling with. And I said, this is not my monkey, it's not my circus, I've been fighting. And finally, I came to the conclusion, you know what? It is my monkey, and it is my circus, and I'm trying to control things that only God can control, and it's time to surrender. And it's just time to give it to Him. Like Paul, setting at the foot of the cross and just walking away. Just say, God, you can have it. And you know, when I finally did that, it changed my attitude at home. I mean, yesterday my daughter was very nice. Caitlin's here too. She said, Dad, you always have a good attitude or something like that. I'm like, no, you've been around here, but you haven't seen. And I looked at Susie and I said, my attitude has not been good, has it? And Susie's like, no, it hasn't been. No. And I said, but it has been this week. And the reason is because of surrender. Even at age 55, God expects us to surrender and to discover what our gifts are and our talents. Each of us has gifts and talents, and God gave those to us so that we can make a difference in our world. And if you don't know the gifts and the talents that God has placed in your life, it's time to discover what those are. Maybe you need to start listening to what other people are saying. Like, man, you're an encourager, or, you've got the gift of hospitality, or, boy, you're such a prayer warrior. When it comes to work, one researcher actually estimates that 50 to 80% of Americans are in a job that doesn't match their abilities. 50 to 80% of people? What happens besides being stressed out and being frustrated and leaving? What happens is we live unfulfilled lives, and we live unfruitful lives. And this may be one of the reasons why so many Americans, we change jobs so many times before we retire. So the big behavior, and I spent a lot of time on it, is because it's a big one. Develop and maintain a positive attitude. The second behavior is very important too. Rise above the crowd. These days, people only do what's expected. The least amount that's expected, that's what a lot of people choose to do. People want more money with less effort and less responsibility. But one way to advance your life, one way to advance your career, is to rise above the level of mediocrity. So I want to give you 4 simple strategies to be able to do that. First, go the extra mile. The reason why that sounds familiar is because Jesus is the one who said it. He said, if someone forces you to go 1 mile, go with him 2 miles. So doing more than what is expected is going to be noticed. And because people today only tend to do what's expected, nothing more, performance is nominal and production is low quality. So by going further than what's expected, attention's naturally going to be drawn to you and the quality of your work. So respond as if it's in your job description. Expand your job description to incorporate the need. Now, on my business card, I think it says lead minister or just minister. I don't know. I think we had this discussion in a staff meeting 2 Mondays ago, and I think it says minister on it, just minister. But sometimes that business card should say the minister of mops. And the reason is because sometimes I'm setting up tables and moving chairs around, and, everyone on staff does. And I've cleaned up messes on the floor before that weren't mine or my grandchildren or, my family. Why? Is because it's my responsibility as a servant. And so if we want to be noticed in our secular jobs, pretend and view it as a part of your responsibility. The second thing is settle for excellence. Excellence is noticed in the details. Now, I'm not talking about perfection, okay? None of us are going to be able to achieve that. Only one person was able to. I'm not talking about perfection. I'm talking about excellence. How are the details in the area of your responsibility? Are they excellence? Are they excellent? The difference between excellence and mediocrity could just be 10 minutes worth of attention. The difference may be just 1 degree. What happens at 212 degrees? Water boils. Guess what happens when water boils? There's power there. There's steam there. At 211, don't stick your hand in it, but you're not going to have the same power, okay? But at 212, 1 degree different, water boils, and a lot of good things can happen in life because water boils at 212. So striving and settling for excellence is certainly going to be tolerated by your employer. Excellence honors God and it inspires people. Third, seek opportunities to help. We live in a very fast-paced world, and it's easy to get caught up in our own pace-setting exhaustion. But a tremendous amount of benefit can come when we slow down a little bit and when we walk slowly through the crowd. There may be a coworker who needs help. So ask, how can I help? One of the great things about Elliot and Brandon, if there's 100 days that they see me, 95, 97, 98 of those days, both of them will always ask me, is there anything I can help you with? Is there anything that I can do for you today? I mean, almost exhausted. I'm like, what is y'all's problem? No, I don't need any help. I got it. But they still ask, and I appreciate that. And in seeking out opportunities to assist others, do so not at the expense of sacrificing the quality of your work. And finally, fourth, set a higher personal standard. If we're going to rise above the crowd, set a higher work ethic. What does that mean? Well, clock in 5 minutes early, rather than 5 minutes late. Celebrate special days for your employees or your coworkers. Demonstrate integrity, not just in the big areas, but also in the small areas. Give an honest day's work. Make sure that you're taking your lunch hour within the, company's principles and what they've said you're allowed. Work more effectively and efficiently. Suggest ways that your company might be able to save some money. These are all ways to lift your personal standards and at the same time lift our careers to new levels. So what do we need to do? We need to develop and maintain a positive attitude. We need to rise above the crowd. But the third behavior is join the team. Joining the team is more than getting hired and then just collecting a paycheck at the end of the week. The power of team cannot be overstated, and this power can also be seen in nature. One of my favorite horses is a Clydesdale. Love it. They make good commercials too. I mean, the big horses, the fancy legs, the tail, just beautiful horses. But one Clydesdale horse can pull a sled between 2,500 and 3,000 pounds. That's amazing. But you hook up two Clydesdale horses, they can pull a sled of up to 10,000 pounds. That's almost 4 times what one horse can pull. Geese, they can fly further, 72% further than in formation than if they just flew off by themselves. Now, somebody watched a lot of geese and did a lot of math to come up with the fact that they fly 72% further. But 72% further. Jesus demonstrated the power of team when he grabbed 12 guys from various, avenues of life, a tax collector, fishermen, and other common people, brought them together as a team. So if we're serious about advancing our careers, teamwork has got to hold some of those keys. Now, let me offer some specific actions in this area too. First, value the team, and you got to know your place. Much more can be accomplished when we work together as a team rather than if we just go off as an individual. In fact, if you consider all the inventions that have made, most, if not all of them, have had the influence of more than just one person. And so the sooner we recognize the value of team, the sooner we actually can move our careers forward. And on all great teams, there may be one. There may be one who is most influential, more astute, or deemed the primary principal leader. I mean, I'm not going to argue that Tom Brady ain't the man when he's on the field, no matter if he's playing for the Patriots or the Buccaneers or whoever he's playing for. Even if he takes some personal days off, the fact of the matter is he's the man. However, to win at a team sport, what do you need? You need a team. So knowing where you fit, knowing where others fit, is critical to create synergy. Now, you may or you may not be able to adjust the team's dynamics, but certainly you can function as the most productive teammate possible. The second thing is to avoid selfish ambition. Many teams, we've seen it in sports, we've seen it in our own lives, many teams have been destroyed from selfishness. Much of the world is out for number one, but the Bible's pretty clear. Where selfish ambition exists, guess what exists? Disorder. And so if your work environment, if your home life is in disorder, it may be because there's selfish ambitions going on there. You can bring order by pursuing selfless ambitions, by putting others before yourself, including your employer and your coworkers. So what are we going to do? We're going to develop and maintain a positive attitude. We're going to rise above the crowd. We're going to join the team. And the fourth behavior is, we kind of talked about this a little bit last week, we need to work for the master, not the boss. We need to work for Jesus, not the boss. Who do you work for? Do you work for men or do you work for the Lord? Now, you may work for someone different than the person who signs your check or makes sure that it's direct deposited into your account. Would a different employer actually produce a different result in your life? If you could accomplish all things, if all tasks in your life could be accomplished for your Creator, I want you to think about that for just a minute. The results would stand out in the workplace. It would garner attention. Now, there's two things that can help us make this needed adjustment, because this is the paradigm shift that we talked about last week. We have to dedicate our work to the Lord. And this is where the power of a personal commitment comes in. How would a perspective change in your life if you looked at your check or you saw on your pay stub Jesus' signature on there? I mean, he's certainly the one who's holding our reward in heaven for us. But secondly, we have to be trustworthy in all things. Your boss may never find out. You're probably thinking, man, praise God, my boss is never going to find out. But God already knows. Your boss may never notice, but God already has. So we need to commit ourselves to be trustworthy in all things. Like what? We need to tell the truth. In love, but we need to tell the truth. We need to follow through. We need to demonstrate loyalty. Man, I cannot stand disloyalty. That and injustice. Those two things just get me keyed up very, very quickly. Be loyal. Give the benefit of the doubt. Refuse to give up. These are the qualities that employers are looking for, but you want to know what? These are the qualities that God looks for in His followers, in His children. So you say, well, what am I supposed to do? What's my faith step? Well, I'm glad you asked me that. Here they are on one slide. Here's what it looks like. If you want to advance your life, if you want to advance your career, you need to develop and maintain a positive attitude. It's going to get noticed. You need to rise above the crowd. Don't let mediocrity define you. You be defined by excellence. You need to join the team. Know your place. Bring your best. Create synergy. And fourth, you need to work for the Master. You need to work for Jesus in everything that you do. The decisions that you make at work, the decisions that you make at home, how you do your yard, you know? I mean, if people know that you're a Christian and your yard, now I don't know if your yard's long or not, but if your yard is like, you got to wear snake boots just to walk to the front door, it's probably not a good testimony of what a Christian's house is supposed to look like. Take care of your yard. Hire someone. Call Brandon. Brandon's volunteering. He'll come. You know? Do everything for Jesus. And when we put these 4 things in place in our lives, we will definitely be taking care of business, and Jesus will get the glory.